Okay, well, I'll declare the meeting open and welcome everybody here to the October meeting and call for any apologies. We have an apology from Chris Matthews and one from Jeff Smith, and we acknowledge the absence of the General Manager, Max Eastcott, who is now on, I think he's just on ordinary leave, but he'll be on sick leave, I guess. Somebody like to move that we accept those apologies. Councillor Egan and seconded Councillor Galvin. Put that motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Now, would somebody like to move the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting held in September? Councillor Colton, seconded Councillor Mulligan. Put that motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Now, as you would know, today at 9:30 we have two citizenship ceremonies, which is always a pleasant thing to do. Item 5 is a call for declarations of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Being none to record at this stage. And then so we go on to officers' reports, and it is Organisation of Community Services on number 1.
And it's quite a comprehensive report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I just need to apologise before I get the questions. Under each category that says budget, we were supposed to pop information in and we didn't, so apologies
I
there.
wonder what that meant.
Yes, that's a bit odd looking.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we just flick through it bit by bit. I think that the horse visit to Nauru went down pretty well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It
Good thing
did.
to
And
do.
the horse will be back.
Well, yeah.
Made some people very happy.
I also noticed where there's a shortage of volunteers for Meals on Wheels.
Yes. Yep, that's been an ongoing problem.
Right.
You'll also note that we're advertising for staff at Nauru again in all the areas that we have. It seems to be a revolving door.
Yeah. With the Meals on Wheels thing, is that every day or just once a week?
Once a week,
They do the whole 7 meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as far as I understand.
So if you think of anybody that might be willing to volunteer for that,
Sorry, can I report? They take meals in a 7-day block
yeah,
in Warrior.
yeah.
No, we take them every day.
We take them every day.
Oh, okay.
In Warriolda, I'm sure it's,
A block.
yes.
That's what Warrior was one mentioned with a shortage of
Yeah.
volunteers. Yeah. Has anybody got anything while we go through this?
I could go through each section if you like, but it'll take some time and I'm sure you've read it all.
And they're little
I was-
good and
I did want to comment on the Little Athletics Committee in Warrior doing a great job.
Yes.
It's great to see some volunteerism, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure is.
They're pretty keen and
Our preschool,
ticketing from Justin Herald's out again. It's
when is that?
Monday night.
the 30th.
Okay.
Monday night. I can rent a crowd, please.
Well,
Got 61 booked in. I'd like some more.
you got to book in. Is it here in the Roxy?
It's in here in the Roxy. Only reason we need to book in is because it's free, but for catering purposes.
Oh, yeah, well, just see if I'm.
That's Monday
That's right.
night.
That's right.
Monday night.
I haven't did, but
Right.
I've already finished.
I'll have to let them know.
30.
I've heard him speak once before, and it's well worth going to.
yeah.
if you're booking in, can you book me in too? Thanks.
Very good.
Is there a regular? I haven't heard about it.
Is this part of it?
The ones that are in Warrior.
No, it's a motivational
Oh, yeah, okay.
speaker.
Okay, yeah.
And he's speaking
Right.
Monday night and then Tuesday at the school, and he's well worth listening to. Very good. On customer service.
No, he's very good. I heard him. Well, you would have been there, Catherine, I think, years ago in Sydney. We heard him.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
What I'd like to talk about, while we've got the chance particularly, is the self-audit, which is on page 26.
Yeah. This is. I was wondering about that. Yeah.
So this is a process that we go through, all state cover councils go through every year, and our performance has been less than pleasing. I would be brave enough to say that our performance 10 years ago is better than it is at the moment, purely because we've gone off on other tangents. We've got new staff, but even prior to this this audit, we've already allocated some additional resources to concentrate on safety and infiltrate throughout the whole of the organisation. So if you can put that figure in your mind, and I'm sure when you look at it next year, it'll be remarkably different.
How does it work? You go to a heading and then you self-assess?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the insurer will come out and they'll pick 2 areas to really concentrate and check that we're doing that.
Oh, they will
Doing
come
well.
and talk.
I'd
Yeah.
just like to say under the circumstances that I think you've done pretty well then. All over the shop for 2 years makes it pretty difficult to have your top shelf in order.
It is very
So-
tricky.
And I think that them being our insurers, they ought to take a little bit of a look at that.
Can we talk about what we did last week, whatever it was?
Yes, there's opportunity.
It really comes in.
Yeah.
I do want to mention this. Leah and I attended a workplace health and safety conference put on by Transport for New South Wales. I think it was a week before last. And it was most enlightening. And what I wanted to talk about more than anything was the incident at Walgett. They highlighted this where the fellow was killed. Was it 17 or 19? I can't remember what year.
17, I think.
17. Now, there was obviously an inquiry. Now, what they did was they set it up and had a film of how everything was set up on the roadwork, long after the incident. So the way it was it's the road from Walgett to Cryon. It's a dead straight road. It's bitumen. I think it doesn't have a line up the middle, so it's not that wide. It was in good order. Now they were doing a patching job, and there was a grader, a roller, a water truck, and a set of traffic lights. So there was a person for each one of those things. Now the grader had to turn around and go the other way, and it was a 3-point turn. So the person on the traffic lights put both ends at red. And then the next thing, they found him dead on the road. And so that the initial thought was that he was backed over by the grader. There was obviously an autopsy, and they tried to do. They thought he had a heart attack at the time. They tried to do CPR on him, and the autopsy showed he was busted up inside, but no external, no blood or nothing to indicate that if it had what they came up with is it wasn't a grader. The grader would have completely busted him. So that poor grader driver lived in hell for a few weeks.
Years.
Yeah, years.
Yeah.
And then, and so they don't really know. The latest thought is that a car came through, hit him and kept going, but I can't believe that they wouldn't notice that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mystery, but the upshot of it is that Walgett Council got fined $50,000. And Leah and I could not, or anybody on our table could not find fault with the council. They had done everything. The signage was all correct. It was all checked. The ganger, which would have been the grader driver, had kept a diary of what they were doing as safety-wise. They ticked every box. And yet the case was prosecuted, and therefore they were fined $50,000, which was the absolute minimum fine. But to me, that still indicates guilt. If I was fined for something, I would say they think I'm guilty. So I was really disappointed on Walgett's behalf for that. But I think it brings home too just how the world's changed and what we have to do now to comply. And that diary was the thing that got me, Leah. I don't know about you, and I'm not sure whether we do that, do we, or Alex? I'm talking about outside our workplace, not inside. But
the different gangers operate different ways.
Yeah.
They've generally got a folder on site that contains their risk assessments and SAP swings and that sort of stuff for the week. So there's a paper trail. I don't think it's at the level of a diarised, here's what we've done each day for safety.
Yeah. This was also an RMCC job.
Yeah.
But it was a tragedy, but it's still a mystery, and I don't think it was justified, the fine.
The interesting thing that came out of it all for me was that investigation came out, the court deemed that Transport for New South Wales had an enforceable undertaking to go out and make a difference to their workplaces. So they went out to each council, got their input, and then the culmination was when John and I went to this safety conference. And the message to me clearly was, look at Walgett, and I do know Walgett have always done it well. There's a fellow there called Dave Callender who is a driving force of one of the regional risk groups that I used to attend 15 years ago. And Walgett have always done it well, safety. And that was the message. Even though Walgett did things well, there was still a loss of life. And, you know, people should feel comfortable that they can go home safely to their family. So it hit home to most everyone in the room, didn't it, that we have to make a difference. We were making moves prior to that anyway to make sure that we, as Alex said, everybody's got different systems. We do it, but we do it in a bit of a patchwork way. So we're looking at unifying it all and making it streamlined, easy, efficient. And while I'm in Max's seat, Justin's working with Kaylee in bringing these things through, and this safety audit will be the basis of everything we do going forward.
Right. Well, the thing is that if you're found complicit or lax with your paperwork or whatever you do, you can end up being fined, or you can go to jail. Personally, the person in charge, in your case, it would have been you. The only right side of it all was elected members are exempt. So I thought that was a good one.
And he did keep reminding me of that.
Yes, I did. But it is so important that we do this, and I think I certainly had the attitude that we're doing it right, and you know, everybody's got a bit of an obligation to look after themselves in a way as well. That's not the case, and this went for a day and a half, and I listened to every word of it. It was a really good presentation, the whole thing. They had really good speakers there, and even the Welcome to Country was brilliant. You know, very different, and it was along these lines, and he was really good. But so anyway, something to note. And when I read this report, I thought that what immediately came to mind. Yeah.
And you know, I personally would rather go to jail than to think that I was responsible or could have prevented someone from dying. So that's the way we're thinking going forward. I think everybody thinks that way, but there's still, you know, I's to dot and T's to cross. And you know, we always
But
lose.
still ended about accidents. They can't be prevented.
No.
Yeah.
A friend of ours from the trailer the other day, the big tipper,
Yeah.
tipped on him as he walked up the side.
Oh, yeah,
He was
right.
killed.
Oh dear.
And then all he was doing was his job.
Yeah.
It was the wheel,
Yeah.
dusted it.
But it'll be a comfort, and we will be comfortable at some point in the not too distant future to know that we've done everything we can to make sure that people are as safe as possible, and that's all you can aspire to do.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, it's even, you've got to go over the top with this. Sorry,
This
Councillor.
is another example of why we need to get a building done as quick as we can so everyone's together.
You got your microphone.
Went off.
Oh, now it's back on.
Right.
This is another example why we need to get a building to get everyone back in, working with each other, so
Yeah.
things are...
I think probably the interesting thing just reading it is that WHS policy is pretty good for the council, and also the risk assessment's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just that planning area that needs a little bit of coordination, obviously, a little bit of time, but basically, to me, it actually sounds the council's doing actually a good job.
Yeah. Yeah,
And when, sorry,
no, I was just going to say that's right, but it comes right down, this case came right down to the diary. And I think that's what we have to be aware of,
There's always room for improvement.
yeah, and two, with this being a self-assessment, are you being extra hard on yourselves as well? Yeah. So,
It'd be silly not to, though.
I know you'd be silly not to, but I'm just saying, are you, you know, is
Actually, it's interesting. We do these every year, so it's been a revolving door of people in that risk role. So it's interesting to see how people have rated themselves, and you can pick up, oh yeah, that's his personality. That's why. That's why we were in the 90s. You know, it was quite amusing process. But this is a real assessment. Kaylee was just black and white, and as Councillor Mulligan said, it's not a negative thing, but I can guarantee in the next 12 months you'll be seeing something more
You
positive.
won't see poor or
So
fair.
who do we have in that role now? Is it Christy?
Yes, and Kaylee Perry, and she's a registered nurse, and she is proving to be a wonderful asset.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Good.
And she'll be working with Justin over the next 12 to 14 weeks, how long Max is away. And and things will just keep on rolling.
Yes.
And the last attachment there is our quarterly, just letting you know how we're tracking against our
Traffic lights,
op plan objectives. So.
Yeah, so any questions of Leah on any of that?
I think it's quite a good report there, we've got all the
I think, you know, I can't emphasise too much the importance of attending some of these things. I'm so glad I went.
I'm glad you went.
There was there 8 bands there, I think, which wasn't a good roll-up, but yeah, you're able to, well, if 2 people there, you can bring it home a bit harder, can't you? When you yeah. Anyway, okay, if there's no questions then, I'd ask for the report to be received. Somebody move that way. Councillor Egan and Councillor Gelman. Put the motion then, those in favour say aye. And no, carried. The next one is on page 77, 6.2. Engineering Services Monthly Report. Alex, thank you.
I'm afraid that it's going to be a sense of deja vu for everybody for these reports for probably the next 6 months or so, because we're on long-term projects and we're creeping forward slowly on each of them. Progress on everything is pretty good. Budget on everything is pretty good, with the exception of the Get Road, which is forecast to run about 10% over budget.
Is it?
Yes. That project the overrun can be funded out of our recurrent roads budget, so there'll be no cost to the general fund. I'm not sure, I think the news came through during the last council meeting, and it's actually not in this report, and I apologise for it. We have snagged $6 million under the Regional Emergency Road Repair Program that augments $4.2 million that we got under the Regional Local Road Repair Program. There's acronyms for all of those, and I don't recall what they are. But what that means for us is there's $10 million of discretionary cash to spend over 4 years on road
Weren't you going to put
rehabilitation.
another $1 million in yourself there? I thought at the last meeting you were going to make it up to $7 million out of your own pocket.
Out of my own pocket.
Yeah. Remember that?
I'd have to check the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
You do that.
So your recollection and mine may be a little bit different. So given that there's that sort of money floating about, there's never a great time to have a budget overrun, but it's not a bad time to have a budget overrun. I hope everybody got an email about a road closure that we're going to have on Allan Cunningham Way between Bingra and Warialda. I'd encourage everybody to get that message out. It's been on our social media, we've got the VMS boards up, but the road will be closed for 2 hours.
Yeah.
The detour via Delungra is surprisingly not that much longer. It's just a hair over 15 minutes. But if you were to get all the way to the Hollymount project and have to turn around, it's a lot more than 15 minutes. There is a possibility for light vehicles to travel via Ginroy Road, but we're not too keen about that prospect just because of the traffic volumes and the fact that Ginroy Road's for the most part a narrow gravel road. Flood damage, if you have a look at the list of roads that we've completed flood damage works on it, really shows what a decent crack our crews have been doing and our contractors. I think that's quite a big win there. The Bingra sewer extension, as of today, there is 1 pod left to go into the ground.
I think that's incredible progress.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Every street main is in, and as of the 6th of November, they will start connecting the first houses.
Really?
They're still forecasting that it'll be about a month from when they commission the first house to when the last house is done and they're packed up and out of here. But that has been an amazing project. The inconvenience to the public seems to have been about zero. Which is the really remarkable thing. That underboring's been great for that.
I read something about the bridge job, like the pipe going across?
Yeah, so,
What happened there? Because there was a new pipe put in.
There was a new pipe put in. It was a ductile iron pipe, and when it was pressure tested, it was leaking.
Ah,
And to do maintenance on that pipe, we needed to get elevated work platform that would go from the top of the bridge and sort of get to the underside of it. They're quite unusual machines, quite rare to get. So the solution that we came up with was simply just to feed a poly line up the middle of that ductile line.
is it? Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And the tree's still in the river.
I was just waiting for a mayor with a bulldozer to, the cover of darkness, remove it.
I'm waiting
I
for
have
it.
to stay there.
I'm waiting for a hydraulic pump. Anything else?
Nothing from me. Happy to take questions on anything in the report or anything roads or water and sewer.
Well, when do you think the IAB Ball Road will be completed?
There's probably about 6 months left in it.
Oh, has it?
Yes.
Yeah. So-
Well, we're the bitumen sealing that will take place late this week, early next week, will get us to the halfway mark.
Yeah.
It'll be 10 kilometres.
Yeah.
Uh,
And county boundary will be 12-month job or?
It's probably
From the
going
arm.
to track a little bit faster than that.
From the I'm talking about, yeah.
We've got some, by sheer coincidence, when the county boundary crews started on their project, there was, which is 12.3 kilometres long, there was about 12 kilometres left of IB Ball Road. So we're running a little bit of a competition,
Yeah.
and I think that a little bit of rivalry among the staff won't be a bad thing.
No, that's right. Now, I think you mentioned this before. Adam Marshall mentioned it to me on the weekend about a bit of a party for the boys on the Horton Road. What do we do about that? We've already had it.
I think that we need, so we'd discussed this previously.
While you're away.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we're going to have a second party, not one for our staff, but one for the community. So
Oh,
we just,
cutting of some.
A ribbon? Yeah.
Yep.
It came from out there. Someone brought it up that it hasn't been put out there, so they want the road put out there so the road gets used. And
Okay.
I think some people missed out or something, wasn't it?
yeah. But I mean, Adam's got to do his thing for that road anyway. So
Yes, we'll do it
sort of,
then.
I will leaving it to his office to organise a date that we would then get out to the.
Are we going to put a sign up where the ashes are or not?
Probably not, but I think that that's quite a special and unique thing to.
I'd hope they do and would come to the function,
Yeah.
I just know it was Lindsay who brought it up because
Yeah.
he said he didn't get an invite to the last one, and
Yeah, so I think we don't need to go to the extent of a chuck on some drinks and a barbecue, but if we can get some of the key players from the Horton area, into the actual ribbon cutting
Yes.
ceremonial part of it, perhaps.
yeah. Good idea. I mean, you invited locals last time, none of them came.
Yeah.
Oh, one did, I think. Yeah.
When we go to the club, he was
He was the only one. Is there any question of Alex? Your report.
Everyone is downstairs ready for the ceremony.
Oh, I forgot it was downstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone is downstairs ready
Right.
to go.
Well, I move that we adopt the report from the seconded Councillor Colton. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Against no, carried. Right, we'll pause, break the meeting now and do the citizenship ceremonies. Right, back into it, everybody. Executive Service Report 6.3, page 90. Well, you've got to win this one.
Between us, we'll all wing it. This is Max's report. So, first and foremost, the election date is the 14th of September. And we go into caretaker
How many
mode.
days is that away?
I don't know. Get my fingers out. Work it out.
Well, I'm sure there's an app that'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure there is too. And we go into caretaker mode from the 14th of
A
August.
month before.
So let's get everything we want to do done before then.
Yeah.
We're trying our best.
How about you just, the school-based trainee is the other thing I wanted to highlight with you. So once again, Gwydir Shire Council is proven to be a recognised leader in local government through continuous learning. We're the only local government entity that have a school-based training in water operations, and they've actually done a video that they're rolling out promoting what Guadasha is doing, and it's very good.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's going to lead to skilled and successful people that we've grown our own in those roles that aren't easy to recruit.
Yeah.
We're about to advertise for a cadet engineer and a cadet accountant, for want of another word. So if you know any clever young people, it doesn't have to be young people, clever people that are interested in either of those careers, please make it known that we're about to advertise for both those roles. So council will sponsor them to work with us and go to university to finish their
So
course.
it's a skill leaver type.
Traditionally,
No.
yes, but no, it could be anybody.
No, but what I meant was it can be a skill leaver.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They need to have done a HSC, or they can, if it's
Yeah.
someone that left a few years ago, they can do a bridging course.
Yeah.
But definitely looking for the right personality and person, and we'll work everything else out
Yeah.
after that. So happy to answer any questions. If
What
I
a
can't,
news. Well, it said you interviewed 2 people.
I haven't heard the results of what's happened there, but I can ask Carmen to come in and let you know.
Oh, well, sometime during the day would be good, yeah.
I'm
The
going to try and change.
interviews all, and we did meet with the adult learning.
Yeah, I wondered where that had gone to, yeah.
We met with them, and that went very well. They're very interested.
Yeah.
But it was too soon for them to have a report for this meeting. Can I bring him? Too soon to have a report for this meeting, but they will have a report back to us for the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about the interviews. I've got no
Yeah.
idea about the interviews.
So is the trying to change the format of the Guada News?
I'm trying to look at options and if we can get some other entity to do it, or whether we need to employ somebody and do it ourselves. Yeah, Carmen's will come in. I've just texted her and she can tell you what's happened with that.
I'm still looking at an A4 weekly publication though.
Yeah.
Oh no, just an A4 paper stapled
Just like
there.
part on a page. Yeah. Not like a blog like an Adam Marshall sends around every week.
It'll be
Both, that's
it'll be
what
both.
we used to do.
Use Facebook,
Yeah.
but at this stage we're dealing with. Well, I don't know about the 2 interviews. They might decide they want to take it up, but we did
And we-
interview the 3 people from.
Looking at costs too, to make it more cost effective, because it was quite expensive.
To do that booklet thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
I
was
just
very
thought- I just-
expensive, and stapling and all that sort of thing's time consuming, and
Yeah, that one, the one where that comes in the email, like in that form, that IZOO book or something, I just find that really hard. I think we talked about this before anyway.
Yeah.
I still struggle to download the darn thing and read it.
As far as I know, it's still all open. Look, there's been no decision made on what we're
No,
going to do.
no,
So,
and
Yeah.
as I say, those people will have a report back to us and
Yeah.
costing and
I thought that was going to be this meeting, it was
no,
next
but
one.
it was too soon.
Okay,
I couldn't
I
get
know.
the information
Yeah.
I needed.
Right,
Talking about all these development work, if you drive up to Ridley Street, there's quite a few houses on those blocks.
being built.
There's quite a few that have gone up, which is pleasing that they weren't just sold and then sitting there. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it?
Couldn't
And
believe
then-
the activity when we drove up there. It looked like we were in somewhere like Tamworth. Where,
Yeah.
You know, there seemed to be a builder on every block, and
And there's another one about to go. It's one of the like Ostam or one of those in the blocks going up to the cemetery. That's coming soon as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there is a report on those people that came from housing.
no, not
That's
yet.
just-
It's still happening. Yeah.
I'm working through this backwards, but Honey Festival,
Yes.
I would like it recorded and congratulate the staff that worked the Honey Festival. They did a brilliant job. If they're open to suggestion, I would like to suggest it be held a month earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, it was too hot.
As it started at 3 o'clock, the official part, and it was stinking hot.
I think they said, Carmen said that it was a month earlier
She's
last
here.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, look, it's come forward from November, but just talking about the Honey Festival, Carmen, and congratulating you and the team that put it together. It was very well done.
Courtney, yeah.
And I just wanted to make my comment was it would have been better a month earlier.
Yes.
It was hot.
Well, after the event, I actually went back through our
calendar,
Yeah,
and it was on the 17th of September last year.
yeah.
And I'm not quite sure why it was put back. I haven't had a chance to talk to Courtney yet, but we can definitely look at that.
Yeah.
But it was unseasonally hot.
Yeah, it was.
It was the first hot, like really hot
Yeah.
day that we've
I
had.
agree, yeah.
So
We used to have it too close to harvest and we moved it forward from there.
It was in November, which was
Yeah.
crazy, and it was hot, and then now
But
it's,
evenings I started to follow.
yeah, I agree with that too. It's too early to.
Carmen, they wanted a bit of information update on the Guida News with the interviews and Do you want to talk to that?
We-
Well, I just said that it was too early for them to have a report to this meeting, but we can expect a report before the next meeting.
Yeah. So, sorry.
And interviews.
So we followed two pathways. One, we advertised for a replacement editor. But what we did was we advertised the position, but we also sought expressions of interest from our community groups or organisations. And of course, the Northern Inland Community College came forward. We've met with them and they should come back with a report. But they're looking to do the whole thing. So our role in it, we're not quite sure yet, but it would be to support them. Maybe we could photocopy the newsletter for people to come and pick up in our venues. So for example, the libraries, PAC, and then they might want some seed funding. But instead of offering them something, we've asked them to put the proposal together and come back to us, and then you guys can have a look at that proposal. So we haven't offered anything.
Nothing really, we're just asking them for their information.
It was good though, because the CEO of the college came, and she's retiring or resigning, and she actually arranged for the incoming CEO to attend that meeting, and I'm not quite sure that she started yet, but they must be really serious if they got her to come along as well.
Yeah. I think,
Oh, sorry,
uh,
I was going to say they're happy for every little community to have input.
yeah, I was just going to mention that. I'd love to see it go to North Star and Cropper Creek at least, or
So-
Gravesend, but, you know, there's a bloke that lives in Warrialla, goes out to Cropper Creek from McGregor's every day.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to get them out, is it?
No,
So that's one of the things that we really stressed in the meeting, is that we know that the college, with their existing newspaper, the Barraba Community Newsletter, is focused on Barraba. But if they took on the role, they couldn't just focus on Bingara or Warrialda or both. They had to focus on the
Yeah.
whole of the Shire.
why, it's,
I think it's very important, considering the local government elections next year, that we get the message out everywhere about what's happening in the Shire. We may create some enthusiasm, you wouldn't know. But yeah, that's been a failing, I believe, and nobody's fault, because it's on the internet, it's available. But to get those little bits of news snippets that we need to get out there, that's the way to do it. And it has to be in a paper and available on a counter somewhere.
So
the other thing they sort of spoke, Carmen, and said that they would need the input to come from the people,
yes.
that they need them to do a report, and it's just
Yeah.
snippets.
That's the hard bit, isn't it?
Sort of make the interest, and then if people want to know more, they go to the trouble of finding out.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
We had a messy end to the living classroom. That's not ending. To the Guida News. Sorry, I'm just doing stuff with the living classroom at the moment. We had a bit of a messy finish with the Guida News because Sally fell ill with influenza A.
Yeah.
So she was away, then she came back and finished it off, and then I went on leave. So we're trying to get it back on track. So what we did was we advertised the expression of interest and the position while I was away. And we've had meetings and trying to get something up and running. It would be great if we could do it in November.
Yeah, I've had inquiries from people that are like expats. What happened to the Guida News? We used to read it cover to cover, and now it's not there. And I said, no, well, it's in limbo, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not lost, but we'd really like to explore the option of taking like the community group taking it on, rather than having to go down the road of employing someone.
Yes, I think
If we
that's.
can get it at arm's length, that would be a good outcome.
maybe that's a snippet for Guida News, for our Facebook site,
Yeah,
from the mayor, that we're in limbo at the moment, interviewing, or something like that, that Just keeps people knowing that we're working on it.
Yeah.
Carmen can organise that to happen.
I think the other thing that would always keep you all the time is, and I heard it again, was, people have got to supply the information. I think whoever's running it can't look at it like that. They actually have to keep going to those people all the time and getting information. Don't think that the information is going to keep coming, piling into them. It's not the perception I think that you want to have. The person who's going to do it is going to have to go to those people and ask those people.
Yeah.
Not expect them to just come running in.
The trouble is though with the Guida News, in any format that we had, we only ever had one staff. And when it was in the monthly format, it was easier to chase up people. But when you have that quick turnaround of a week, then that's where you'd normally have a team of people to drive and get that information. So that was something that we couldn't invest in, obviously, to have more people doing it. But that was kind of like a big challenge for us, because people, they say even like, I'm going to send you a photo from the camp draft, and you text them or ring them, but unless you have somebody physically at the camp draft to take photos, like you would normally with a newspaper, then that's where you sort of have those challenges. So if we have another group take it on, well, they can see those challenges. And what Catherine and I were talking about is that sometimes people aren't always forthcoming to support something that is associated with council, which is unfortunate, but how things are. And the college is hopeful that they already have people in the community that would act as volunteers and seek actively that information. So hopefully that would work. Like they were talking about that they've got people that would give news from North Star.
Yeah, that's right. That'll be the way to do it.
So and the thing is that if you're at an event, if you're even at a farmer's field day sort of thing, take a couple of snaps, title it, send it off with just a caption that says great crowd at the field day or something.
Yeah.
It's just a newsy thing, and you can put it out that way, but don't just send a photo with there's nothing you can do.
No, that's right.
You've got to just have a little caption.
Yeah, we have to be relying on each area to supply information somehow. Even if you've got somebody there you can ring and prompt that. All right, is there any other questions on the Guida News? We're up to that.
Oh, and very certainly we stress that the calendar is the most important thing to everyone in the community.
Yeah.
And then that is up to each community. If you're having a field day, sorry, I'll pick a field day. Use a field day. If you're having it in December, you've got to put it in the calendar.
Yeah, okay.
Just before Carmen
Yes,
goes, the Warrior Pool, you might talk to them.
So talking of getting things out there, obviously we don't have a newsletter at the moment, but we've used Facebook. So Clarissa Barwick is doing projects at the Warrior Pool, and she's been working with Dave Nevitt, who is on council but in a previous life a sign creator and printer. And they've put out to test the waters, excuse the pun, photos which would be at the facade on the pool. So what I'm
Fantastic. I saw them yesterday.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen them.
so just to answer your question that we've been asked,
You would have seen them on Facebook.
We'll pass them round.
I've only got 2 copies, but I can do more. But do you want me to?
No, we
Just
only
pass them
yeah.
So Dave, as he actually purchased the images, so if it is met with the community through Facebook feedback, that we own the images and they will not be pixelated when they're that size. But we've done some things with it to create a bit of feedback. That is that we probably haven't used the corporate colours of council, and there's no logo. So it's only early days to try and get people's attention to spark feedback, because as you know, it's hard to get feedback and suggestions from the community.
Sorry.
No, that is good. My little request was that can we have outside somewhere the water temperature? It's not. It shouldn't be that difficult. If the water temperature is 28, people
You
are
mentioned
going.
that before, and we are looking at that because we've got to get. We've also been asked to get a clock and a lap timing clock.
Inside, yeah.
So we'll be looking at those.
Okay.
Now that it's
Lee will never
painted,
be able to sleep through that, will he?
So putting that image on the wall Is that done the same way as they do the silos? Paint silos?
No, so it's not painted, it's actually printed onto metal like road signs,
Ah.
and then it's constructed
Ah,
in
okay.
slabs, because
Yeah.
we can't interfere with the actual wall,
Yeah.
so it'll be placed in front of it. And it's really good, I think, because we can take it down at any time and replace
Yeah.
it, and it's a lot cheaper than having a mural painter come
Okay.
in. So,
And if it's damaged, we can replace
yeah,
certain
like
elements.
panels.
Just take a panel.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for all that coming.
I sent 15 text messages to people paying for it.
Did you text me? And sorry, I've got it on that. Sorry.
So go back to the executive services report, and I guess this is aimed at Joe. There's it's number 372023, 2023, a two-lot rural subdivision. Can you hear? Sorry. What are the areas of these subdivisions? So on page 91,
Edge one.
91.
Is that from the Golden Bowl?
No. It's BJ Davis and someone else.
Tresco Holdings.
Tresco.
That's Brian. Roofy.
No, I don't know what I'm going to say yet, but I think Brian was selling the block that joins Vertex, the scrub block there. Oh, yeah. And is that Fresco, is that Clark's? I've got no idea.
Colin, there's a
No
chair
idea.
just there. If you want. Thank you.
It's welcome, Cole. No, thanks. I was more, I was, in regards to LEP, I was wondering what area. Sorry?
It's withdrawn it.
I can't hear.
They've withdrawn it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, don't need to worry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can have a look on the portal to see what it was, but, you know,
Yeah, well,
it's been withdrawn, so it may come back on another stage.
yeah, okay. Yes. Yes, you can, yeah.
So yeah, just to make council aware that the housing strategy, we're working with Elements to develop a housing strategy, so that process of making sure they've got all the information and then they'll start the community consultations, which their view is that most of it will be by electronic media in terms of surveying the general public, but I'll send an email out to all the councillors when that starts proper, but it will be in the next couple of weeks. So that's a longer term housing strategy that's funded by the state government. Also,
Does that involve the resumption of Crown land? So where do we put the houses, my question?
that's we've walked them through, or Liz accompanied them around the Shire, and what opportunities are available, and we've obviously got some Moore Street subdivision and then the Bogan subdivision also coming online. But they may, part of the work that we wanted them to do was also to think about who would likely want to relocate here, and it mightn't be the quarter acre block type scenario. It might be more dense.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'm thinking of the report I'm going to give later about the circular economy. If that gets going in full swing eventually, there'll be a demand for housing in Morella and district.
Yeah.
And you say, who's going to come here? Well, those people.
Yes.
And
We have flagged that.
I don't know what they would require, but yeah. But I was really disappointed, and you were too, with that report that was going on with the JO. And we sat up there, Leo and I, like monkeys, and it was all about Tamworth and Gunnedah. And then the Gunnedah mayor said, well, you haven't mentioned Guida. And he said, oh, well, I think your opportunity is to get more people to the teachers to the school and people in the hospital. That's all he could offer. And I didn't, I was very tight-lipped. I wasn't going to mention this. I wasn't going to give him the grace of knowing. But I reckon we've been neglected rather badly. And I'm still concerned about the lack of building blocks in both towns, availability of them.
Certainly, I went around with them in, sorry.
No,
I went around with them in Warialda, and Kellyanne came with me, and we identified council-owned blocks. The one that they were most interested in is the one that you can access from Plunkett Street that goes down to Hope Street,
Yeah.
next to Dennis Burkhutter's place.
Oh, yeah. I know.
There, so
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and they looked at how many high-density buildings
Oh,
they
yes,
could put
yeah.
there. Also talked about the original town plan where we would remove what was the former council works depot where Challenge are now and put housing down there. There was quite a few. They were very interested when we took them to around Poverty Flat and looking at
There's
that
a few
area
there, yeah.
and developing that area. And then Catherine can talk about Bingra because I came down here and I conned Catherine to come with me, and it was
Yeah.
quite,
Well,
good.
we had quite a number of areas to show them. We did take them to where we've already been developed and said
Yeah.
that happened within a 6-week
Yeah.
period of being released. We took them to where we proposed the medium density housing in behind the council if we move the depot. And then there were quite a number of blocks that we were able to show them. So I think they were quite impressed overall with what was available, what's
Very
happened
positive.
and all that sort of thing.
It's still going to take private enterprise to build.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. However, I did go to a Health Alliance meeting the other night, and at the meeting, one of the biggest things that's confronting us as a community in both areas is having the housing for locum doctors. I know we've got the two that were built as emergency housing, were they? And we agreed at the meeting that we would write letters to state and federal government asking for them to come on board and provide housing for, if we have to pay locums, we can't afford to house them too.
No.
So a letter from council in support of that, and I think the medical practice is going to write one and the Health Alliance will do it. But both areas need, and not talk about our emergency housing because they'll think, oh, well, they've got what else do they need? So it's to propose that we need housing for locum doctors.
Yeah, well, technically we can't use the emergency housing for
No,
permanent.
we can't,
Yeah.
so we don't go there and that gives them the idea that we're desperate for housing.
The 2 units that are on the Plunkett Street development are specifically for medical people, whether it's pharmacists or RNs or doctors visiting, so they're not emergency housing.
No.
The-
So they
No, but up here it
definitely
all
are.
is.
oh, up here it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, they said that the other night, Catherine.
They built by the community with the housing that they sold.
Yep.
as I
Yes, for the
understand it.
locums,
Yes,
Yeah,
well,
RNs or whatever.
Yeah, whatever's needed.
medical,
Whatever.
but
Yeah,
we
medical.
still
But
need
you can't
more.
Yes.
use the emergency housing up here,
No,
and you can't use the other ones that were out
and
there.
see, we've had, down here, we've got the doctor's house, but we've had 2 locums, so we've had one in the doctor's house, which used to be Dr. Kalkrinis's house,
Yeah.
and then one, Dennis, he was staying at the pub, for the 2 weeks. He was here, and then I'm not sure where, Hillary's staying at the moment, whether she's at the caravan
Someone was
park.
at the caravan.
It's not
park.
good enough though, no.
No, it's not good enough. We have to, and I think it's time we lobby both state and federal government
Righto.
for it.
Yep.
So, I just want to throw that in when we're talking about
We can
that.
take that on board anyway. Sorry, Joe, your report's been.
Did you want to create an opportunity for council to have direct input into the consultants, just so they're getting it straight?
For councillors to have direct input, I don't think that's necessary. I think you can report back. Yeah. It gets too messy if we're all involved. I'm happy to hear the reports though. And by the same token, we can put our 2 bobs worth in, and that's my comment, is that I think that there's a lot of land locked up and it's going to get worse and worse. It's going to get harder and harder to get it, I mean. And I think we should be addressing that as much as anything else. And I think that there'll be a small call for high density housing, not a big one. I think in the bush people want to live and grow some vegetables and have a bit of backyard, and that's what I'd like to be providing for if we could.
Just a
And
question.
out at Burren, we can do that, but we have to decide then how big we go and how little or whatever. We've got to service it all, big job. Sorry.
What is the status of the old depot site on the Grazine Road? Is it Crown land or is it council owned?
We're in the process of compulsory acquiring.
Right.
It's PP board, isn't it? Owns it?
No, they're next door.
Oh, no, I thought they had that too.
People Depot is next
Yeah.
door. There is a bore on there, isn't there? Is there a?
Well, there used to be a batching plant there.
Yeah.
There was a batching plant there, so there had to be water. Yeah.
Just we're talking about medical accommodation. One of the other roles that I do voluntarily is I'm on the Warialda Local Area Health Committee, and they've just received funding to build more accommodation for medical people adjacent to the hospital as well.
Oh, good.
So Warialda could be pretty well served in that area, but Bingra is definitely a need. So I don't know what they're building. I don't know if they've been to council
I think
yet.
didn't they speak, that was at the meeting before, they're getting pods, those,
Something that,
they're like, when you say pods, they're quite flash, they're like the ones that they've just placed in Armidale, from my understanding. I don't
Okay.
know, that was 2 meetings ago, I think.
So it's a very small unit, is it? Is that what you mean?
Oh, it's like one of those.
cabins.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, from what I can gather,
Oh, okay.
that's what Armidale's got, and that's the way I sort of took it.
That's what we interpreted.
Yes.
That'll be all right, yeah.
But then when we said, because who's the this health service manager in Warialda? What's
Mel Austin.
Mel told us that at the meeting, but then when Mel wasn't at the Health Alliance meeting the other night, and Sumac and Joe Thornton sort of said, well, I don't know any coming to the area, so it was sort of contradicting.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I hijacked you again, Joe. You got more to go?
There's a bit in confidential.
Yeah, right.
I think the water issue
Yeah.
has been raised
Mm.
by Dave Moore and the New South Wales.
Yeah, we'll do that in confidence. Yeah.
Mr Mayor, just to confirm, the bore on that site
Yes.
is on its own parcel of land the council owns,
Oh, yeah.
and the surrounding land is what we're in the process of the compulsory acquisition.
So it's Crown land, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good, that's good. Now, the Nicholson Street clubhouse appears to be coming along pretty well, and what I've read, it's nearly there. Just to forewarn you, we won't deal with it today, but there is an application coming to the next meeting for that to be named after an individual, so think about it. Anything else?
Not from me, but perhaps.
I like that monthly planner that shows you you actually get to see how much is actually, like it's right there in your face, you see what is booked out, there's lots going on.
Once you work it out, there is.
Yeah,
It took
like
me a while.
once you work it out, but
Yeah.
when you look at it, it's very busy, like you can read it in
Yeah.
in Word format, but when it's in front of you like that, it shows you just how busy it is.
I would like to comment on the Guida Country Education Fund, how well that's operating. Distributing $17,210 there, that was very good. I think that's it for that report, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're moving that, thank you, councillor Egan, a seconder. Oh, gee, I nearly took you then, Cole, you put your hand up. Seconder for that report, please, for that, councillor Galvin, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. The next little bit has no heading, but it's in planning.
I think that's just an
That's
attachment.
part of it.
Oh, well, I had questions on this.
Okay.
On the second page, the CWA one, I think we might have dealt with this last meeting, where they're going to have an op shop in the CWA hall. I've been asked to open that. I find it disappointing that we're going to have 2 op shops in Warialda. I don't know how that'll work.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not full-time offshore, it'll be a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
In the mornings only, mainly on the weekend, it'll be
Is it?
Friday, Saturday, I think. there's-
Is it the CWA that's doing it, or is it this
Yes,
Libby
it is.
Libby Cotter?
Well, I think Libby's driving it,
Yeah.
she's a part of the CWA, but
Yeah.
it is, has permission from the CWA
Okay.
to use it.
Right, thanks. The next query I had was the Golf and Bowling Club, where they're trying to subdivide between the 2 houses and sell the houses. Where's that up to?
SMK,
Sorry,
And you can probably answer better than I can.
It's actually been referred back to them to provide a bushfire assessment report for the new lot that can be built on. And there may be upgrades required to the dwellings depending on when it gets referred to RFS, what they decide to do there.
This is 3 lot, isn't it? There's 2 houses and another lot.
There's 2 existing houses which were detached to lots,
Yeah.
you can see only one lot.
Yeah.
They're now putting them on their own separate lots.
Yes, yes.
And putting a driveway between them and then creating a new lot behind, which has the golf shed on it, but it
That's
has the potential to be a building site at some time
Yeah.
in the future if that's what they decide to do. So bushfire are required under the Bushfire Act to have a consultancy role in that.
Okay. I just sense a frustration as they're trying to market these houses and they can't yet. So who are you dealing with there, with as far as notifying them?
Yeah, it goes to a central, once we refer it to Bushfire.
No, with the club, I mean. Who's your contact? Is it Matt Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Won't,
it's-
won't be any more.
No, but just so long as he knows what's going on. I'm frightened that he might not know about this. That's all. No, I know.
No, but I have been speaking to him and, yeah, he's aware that
Okay, that's
what's
it.
going to happen
Yeah.
next.
Thank you. The other one was, well, the lot 2 rural subdivision at Scooter Creek Road's the one we talked about, isn't it?
Yeah, look, that was, I've had a look at it since, but it has been withdrawn. So it's pretty much the same reason, that's why the bushfire assessment report. Also, I think one of the lots, they're both 500 hectares in size.
Oh,
So
right.
one has the potential for a house on it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the intention. The other one is, the intention is to become a stewardship site under biodiversity conservation. So, they have to get something from biodiversity conservation to say that the stewardship site precludes it from being built on, so
Yeah.
then they have a bushfire report for that particular lot.
Yeah.
But they will also be up still, and they're still providing that.
Okay, thanks. Did you want to deal with Cole's business before we go on this one? Well, with Cole's here, did you want to go, should we go on to his?
To the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that and we'll come back to 6.4, if you like.
We've asked Colin to come along for any discussion around the Bingra office building because he's the man with the answers. So, no pressure.
We'll do it that way, Colin, we won't be holding you up too much.
Yep, no, that's fine, thanks, John. So I sought an update from Struxy, where the component of the works is up to. Last week, I think it was, last Wednesday, we met with Crawford's Construction, because on Alex's recommendation, because they were being engaged to carry out the demolition of Hope Street,
Yeah.
they may also be able to carry out the demolition of the Bingra office. So we met with the estimator on site. He has since been back to site, I think, on Wednesday this week with the contractor that's got the excavator. So long story short, they provided me with an update. I'll just read this. So we're sitting down at the moment to discuss the hygienist report and the scope. So that's in regards to the asbestos. So they've got SMK's report, I think, for that. Because there is some asbestos on site, so it'll have to be dealt with prior to demolition. So they've spoken to them regarding demolition and time frame. They're going to take a few days to come up with a dollar figure, but if successful, the tender, we're looking at starting fencing, asbestos removal, awning removal, propping up the awning around the week of 27th of November, with a start of demolishing after the removal. So they said this could take 4 to 5 weeks depending on the weather. So that's they're talking about the actual demolition process. So, so at the moment, there's a few things that have got to be crossed before we can start the demolition as well. We need to do a dilapidation report, which we would have done anyway, but it was one of the conditions from the development assessment report into the demolition. So the dilapidation report will basically go in. So we've engaged Struxy to do that. They'll go in, they'll take a whole heap of photos of the buildings either side. They'll come up with an existing condition report. Following the demolition, they will then go back and check it again to see whether anything's changed. Obviously, the reason for carrying that out is that, they can't come back at us after we've done the demolition on site and say, oh, look, you put a crack in my building. And, and then we've got to pay to remediate that. So
There was a concerned neighbour, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, and the lady on the southern side, and understandably so. I don't think there's a physical attachment. Well, sorry, there is a physical attachment at the moment with the front brickwork, but I think that's the extent of it. I don't think there's any tie between the two buildings.
No.
And any physical tie. I think they just butted up to it at the front facade, so there's no gap. But obviously they'll ascertain that and obviously proceed with due care.
Yeah.
But part of the demolition, they'll have like a hammer on an excavator to demolish footings and things like that. Because I imagine those footings carrying that brickwork will be quite substantial.
Yes.
So that's the demolition side of it. So all going well, it's not out of the realms of possibility that it could be completed by Christmas or shortly thereafter. If it's not completed by Christmas, you might as well say forget January.
That's right.
Like it's so it will be sort of end of January, beginning of February, which I don't think will impact our time frame at all.
No.
What we've decided we'll exclude from the demolition contract is the actual facade, because if they follow David Jones's report into the facade, once they cut back the perpendicular walls to the facade, it's essentially freestanding, and that was in his report. He said it can pretty much be a freestanding object on site, so it'll just be, everything else will be demolished around it. We'll also keep the amenities building for the time being. We'll just have to hook up a new power supply to it, because it actually comes from the Binga office at the moment. I understand it's a power cord that's just out the office.
Is it?
Fairly agricultural, but because they'll need to establish a power supply on site when they're doing the demolition anyway. So,
Service line.
so our intent is there. I think we'll try and retain that amenities building for as long as possible. So we'll retain it for construction so that it's during the demolition process, so it's available for use by contractors and the public. But even after that, I think if we can, when we're start the new build, if we can keep that for as long as we possibly can, because when you look at the plan, it's right over where the landscaping portion will be. So it just seems good sense to keep it until such time as we're getting very close to the other, and then demolish it and continue all the site works and that. So, so Struxy's response was that documentation is progressing well. The documentation is beyond DA stage. They're progressing to complete tender construction drawings. They've received the second round of structural design, which they're going to incorporate into their drawings. Because at the moment, like I said here, the draft design is basically a picture. It's nothing more than a picture. We need all the structural elements on how it's going to go together. The first draft for mechanical services design's been received. It's being reviewed, so that's all your air conditioning system, air handling system. Second draft of the electrical's been received. Their planning consultant is working to be ready to lodge a DA by the end of the month. So, end of the month is in October. I'll have to clarify whether they mean October or November, but he says the end of the month, and I got this email this morning. So,
It's not long.
yeah, okay. So he said we're expecting to have a draft review by Monday. Landscape architect is engaged. We're expecting docs for review in the next couple of days. Now, there's a few matters that have got to be resolved, and it'd be good to have the input from the councillors on this. So the current access arrangements, and I briefly spoke to Max the other day about it, for the Sportsman's Hotel, and the current practice is to deliver the kegs to the front of the site. And at the moment, in front of the amenities building, there's probably a dozen or so kegs just sitting there. Max doesn't believe they have a legal access to do that. It's just pretty much a handshake thing. I know Max said when they were dealing with the opposite side where the library is, the access through there, I think the new owner of the Sportsman's Hotel did indicate that he wanted to formalise that agreement, but Max was reluctant to do it. Struxy obviously got a concern because they believe it's a risk, safety risk to people and pedestrians if you've got vehicles backing across the footpath to deliver kegs, and it's probably not something we really want in our new green space there. So I don't know what the council's thoughts are on that.
So when you say we negotiated, we'll talk about the other side, what we're negotiating, because council owns so much of it.
Yeah, that was at a few meetings ago.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
how much are we going to negotiate? Are we selling or buying?
Well, on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was something I wasn't involved in, but Max said apparently they negotiated their purchase part of it. Yeah.
An offer was made to purchase the portion of the lane that's owned by the owners of the Sportsman's Hotel. We're yet to receive a response to that offer. If the offer is not accepted, it's a prime candidate for compulsory acquisition. It ticks every box.
There was a ridiculous amount put on it, I remember.
There was,
Yeah.
and there were some conditions on it that were unreasonable
Yeah.
as well. So that the counter that council made was quite reasonable. And from the top of my head, I don't have the figure. I'm sorry, but one way or other, that given that it's an existing thoroughfare, provides access to more than one building premises, it literally ticks all boxes for compulsory acquisition and dedication as a road reserve. So we'll end up as council land.
Well, fill me in on this then. If that happens, will that mean the hotel have access to the back of the hotel from the street?
Yes.
And is that what they're missing now?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Well, what's the business with the kegs on the footpath? I don't follow.
That's
It's
on
an
the
issue
other
of
side.
convenience.
I know where it is, but I mean,
Go straight to their cool room.
yeah, so we build an office there. We take that, which we already
Well,
have.
we own the land
We
anyway.
own
It's
it.
just, yeah.
What are they going to do? I mean, I agree. I don't think it's appropriate for the building that they're there.
There's no formal agreement, it's just whether or not, you know,
So it's just up to them what they do. I
by
guess.
appeasing the owners, whether we give them an alternative. But Owen did say, like, there'll be a loading zone out the back of the office, which we would use. I mean, we could sort of offer them, you know, access to that if they needed it, but it's just a matter of convenience that they do it.
But they can get into their backyard.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
the other
Yeah, they
pub
can
is
get
a
it.
gate into
Yeah,
the
that's
Oh,
right.
absolutely, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
mean, the other pub has to be
Well,
very.
that answers my question. They've got access. There's no problem.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
So your feeling is there's no need for us to allow them to continue that
Yeah, exactly.
practice?
No,
And
that's right.
we're happy for them. They'll have to make other arrangements.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Now the thing, there's a bit of stormwater we need to look at as to what they do. There might be some on-site detention, so we might put some sort of water tank there to, when there's a big storm, to sort of basically retain a bit of water before it flows into the drainage system. Soil testing is due on site early in November. Yeah, so I guess the key takeouts from that is that, you know, they intend to lodge the DA, you know, very soon.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, obviously, you know, get it to a point. Oh, the other thing is they said, at council's direction, we believe that we're now appropriate to commence pre-tender calls for expressions of interest from building contractors. So they think, and as long as we're in agreement, that they can progress to calling for expressions of interest from suitably qualified contractors. So we would narrow down that list. We'd review that list if hopefully we get a list. Hopefully it's not just one. That hopefully we get a list of suitable contractors. We can review that, and then we could go out to discussions. And I know Joe had a discussion with him the other day, which had previously been, I guess, dispelled, that we could have like a closed tender, not closed tender, but a selective tender process. We did move the structure to discuss that before, but yeah, the feeling with those present at that meeting that it wasn't able to be done. But Joe assures me that we can do that. So it means that you would work with a building contractor to further formulate your costings and that.
It enables you to, rather than if the process doesn't result in a tender that fits the budget, it allows you to keep negotiating to reduce rather than go through the whole tender process again. And Alex and I discussed it as well. We can get support from local government procurement for that process as well. It just gives council greater flexibility and greater ability to maintain control over costs, particularly knowing that there's very limited, well, there could potentially be only a few people put in for the tender, and who knows what they might decide to charge because there's so much work on at the moment.
Yeah.
It allows them to keep negotiating.
Okay.
There's a bit, I don't know whether they will put in for it, but I know there's a company in Tamworth, Richard Crooks, that built the hospitals and things like that, whether or not they did Inverell Hospital, they did Armadale.
So Councillor Galvin, you're saying that we could have crooks building the...
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I heard
But I mean,
that.
there should be, yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know whether local people can do so much themselves, or?
I don't know, it'll be interesting. I'd be surprised if we got a local contractor to put in for it, like the scale of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Still looking at breaking it down into three though, so that we're doing the building itself to fit out separately or not? 'Cause that was an idea that we floated, wasn't it?
I know if a local does it, Colin, you'll know more about this than me, because I'm only keeping this second hand, they'd have to up their, what insurance is it?
The
Their
home warranty.
home warranty insurance.
no, well, that doesn't apply to commercial work.
Yeah, it's a commercial.
It's,
building.
yeah, so it might be their public liability insurance,
It's not a
yeah.
house. It's a commercial building,
Yeah.
so that doesn't apply.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, what Tiff's referring to is home building compensation fund insurance. So if you're building a residential property in New South Wales, if the value of the work's over 20,000, or if you're a contractor supplying part of a contract and it's over 20,000, you need to seek home building compensation fund insurance. The strange thing about it is the minimum value, or the value you take it out for, is $340,000. So if you're doing a $20,000 job, you've got to take out $340,000 worth of insurance. So,
I thought,
yeah. It might be their public liability
yeah,
insurance,
it
or
was something, so many million, like 30
public
million.
indemnity.
Maybe I got
That'll,
that wrong.
that'll be public liability.
Yeah.
Is there any other question, Nicole, while he's here on the?
Yes.
Proposed time frame for completion of the building once it goes.
Why don't you try the start of the building instead of the completion? Be a lot easier to predict the start than the completion.
We did talk to Struxy at some point, and I think they indicated that about a 9-month build was a reasonable expectation.
So there'll be no slab laid before the election, if that's what you wanted to know. After a statement.
No. They said 9 months construction would be a reasonable expectation, but it's obviously when we get a contractor that's in a position to start. And obviously, once we secure a contract, we'll be pushing them to start as soon as possible. But I anticipate we'll probably, what date's the election?
14th September.
Well, I think we're going to start the slab on the 15th.
Because a certain councillor has said she'll stand again if we haven't. That's where I was
So
going.
you might just have to hang in for a little while.
Just another 4 years.
Lucky you're going to be 97 by the time you finish.
And look, I can understand, it appears from the outside that nothing's happening, but there's a lot of work going on in the background. Obviously, Struxy, we're not their only client, but there's a lot of work involved in getting it to a design documentation stage where we can go to tender. Because you can't take anything for chance. Basically, every element's got to be designed properly in that. I'm happy that we're making progress. I mean, obviously, Crawfords have given us what I think is a pretty reasonable time frame. I was pretty happy with that time frame. We've actually told them that this project takes precedence over the Hope Street demolition.
Yeah. So if everything fell into place, when would you see the first sod being tanked?
I would think that probably, I'd like to say before then, but I would say maybe June.
June?
Yeah, June.
Yeah, well, that's all we want to know, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it seems like. Look, and I think that's a realistic time frame. I'd like to see it happen before then. I'd like to see it happen in March, but it just depends on the building contractor.
No, June's fine, I think. If you
Until we engage the
put a slab
contractor,
down in June, we'll be all happy.
it's going to be hard because obviously they will have pre-existing projects commitments that they've got to fulfil.
Yeah,
So, but obviously, the sooner we get in,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So getting that DA in will be good, but getting those expressions, as long as you're happy to get in that path and pre-tender call for expressions of interest, so that way we can see what interest is out there.
Yeah.
If we can select a builder then to work with, I think that's going to be a real big
You
win.
can do that, can you? You can call for tenders, pre-tender. That's a good idea.
It's a pre-tender, so basically, it's an expression of interest. Contractors will submit an expression of interest. I'll give a little portfolio on their experience, their recent jobs. We can check, because the last thing we want to engage a contractor that obviously is going to do a crap job.
Oh, and you want one that will give you a commencement date.
I don't know, we did that with Nauru Hostel when we did the extensions to the dementia wing.
Yeah.
It was a pre-tender
Yes,
that McGoffin and Deakin ran.
that's right.
Yeah. And from that we selected a tender. Yeah. So happy to answer any other questions.
Any other questions from
Thank you
Colin?
for staying on it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're sort of trying to keep up to date as much as we can. to the point that, like I'm just wary that I don't keep asking the same questions each week. That
I hope nobody told you that I wanted to build a hay shed there today, because I reckon I would have got down to that by the end of it all.
Yeah,
You just use the word shed.
I said shed very loosely. Yeah, I did. You could see our chook shed, you'd appreciate what I was talking about. Very well built.
so Curly just asked the question, who's doing the demolition? At this stage, we hope it's going to be Crawford's.
Yeah.
Because Crawford's are currently engaged to do the demolition of Hope Street. So Alex suggested that, obviously because they're already working for us, it might be prudent to get them to do the bigger one. But obviously, that's going to be a little bit dependent on the value of the work too, because we're mindful.
Where are they from?
Maureen? Yeah.
Maureen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're just mindful that if the total value of the work exceeds 250,000, I think legally we've got to
Got to go to tender.
go to tender, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
right,
Maybe
and it
that
comes
won't
under
be the
that.
case.
But pulling that facade out will help that. Obviously, if they don't have to do anything with the facade,
Yeah.
except demolish everything around it, I
Yeah.
think that'll be good.
I think
Even to the extent that we'll make the decision then on how much of the facade we keep, because we're
If I was
talking
doing
about
it, the challenge would be leaving it there. I think I'd probably accidentally hit it.
You'll bloody get hit.
No, I meant that. I meant that. No, I didn't mean I wanted it to go. I meant I would be that hopeless at it. I'd knock it over.
Yeah.
I'd swing the beam around, hit it.
The removal of the solar unit and putting it back in the libraries is underway. When he's following that up.
Is it? Yeah. Around it, yeah.
That's happening.
Is that where it's going? Is it on the library? Okay.
And we had to, part of that too, like that's a little bit ongoing, that thing, but we actually had to, we engaged local government engineering services to just do a structural review on the roof, because
Yeah.
we just weren't 100% confident that it was
Gonna hold
strong
it.
enough to hold it. Because obviously it's holding the ceiling weight from the new library building as well.
Yeah.
But we got them to do that, and we actually had to put a bit of steel in there, and we've done that. We've worked
Okay.
out that work, so they've said it's structurally it should hold the weight of the.
Well, just going to the Hope Street one, was there asbestos there too?
Yes, there was, and I think there ended up being more than what they had originally thought. Alex, is that the case? Yeah. Because, like, obviously SMK did the investigation into it,
Yeah.
and they took samples and whatnot, but my understanding was there was some inside, some on the wall where the front office part was, where that joined onto the storage part behind it.
Oh, yeah.
But then did they find some under the cladding, was that right?
I think so. And there was also like some miscellaneous things like power boards that were screwed to an asbestos sheet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know we're getting onto that now, but I'm also concerned about, and I probably ask the question, what happens if you find contamination in the soil? Can that be removed and replaced?
It'll have to be remediated, and we fully expect that might be the case over here, and because there's an underground fuel storage tank,
Oh, yeah.
and obviously, one thing you can do is to leave it in situ and concrete fill it, but that's probably not really feasible over here because there's bottom dollar that it's going to be in the wrong place.
Yeah, yeah.
Where we need to put a footing or where we need to run a silver line or something like that. So obviously we'll need to take that out, and it's going to be a little bit iffy. And I talked to the contractor yesterday from Crawford's, and I said, look, there's certain things you're not going to be able to include in the quotation that you'll have to exclude, because until such time as you get on site, you don't know how big that tank's going to be. We don't have any details on it. You don't know how much is going to be involved in it. So I'll probably exclude that from the document, and it'll just be basically when they get on there, we'll just have to review it.
Yeah.
Has anyone spoken to Mike Evans about it?
No.
He
I
wouldn't
don't.
be able to put you in a picture for that because, he was the last
Yeah.
operator and I'm not sure that it wasn't towards the front of the building.
Oh yeah, I think we know the location. It's just
Oh, you
the
do?
size and whether or not it's leaking. If it's not leaking, happy days. But I know like the ones on site down at the Bradburn building site, I think they had to dig a little bit of soil out, and I think they put activated carbon or something. Then I'm not 100% sure how they deal with it.
No, okay.
It was only a little bit of
It's
contamination.
not a big deal,
that was disposed of, and then they filled one of the tanks there with concrete slurry.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah. And we did that with the old, I remember years back, the old workshop, the old depot at Warriella, where the workshop was.
Yeah.
There's a concrete tank underground there, which has been concrete.
Filled up. Yeah.
The same with the information centre. It was built on the Ampol service
Who wants
station.
to- yeah.
Just for your information, the landscape architect will be working with a community committee, taking on board what the feedback we got about the facade, and so there will be select people from that group that will work with the landscape architect in building into that green space some sort of memorial tributes. Colin's got one through Struxy. Yes, so they're they'll be working on.
That discussion that we might be able to get funding for it from the,
There's been discussion, but nothing further, and I don't think we'll be able to get funding until we have a plan that we can go to
call
them.
it a memorial garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
Hopefully we'll cut down on our costs then, because if we can get funding for a lot of the landscaping stuff, that will come up with costs.
At an executive meeting, we suggested, it was being suggested, and I'll start following up, that perhaps we should be looking at moving the Bingra depot at the same time that we're building this new development and go on with that plan that we've had for 16 years. So we'll be looking at costing that and seeing what's practicable. It would be good to do it all at the same time.
And we will need a costing report for this building too. We haven't got that, or a plan as to how we're going to fund it.
It's in there.
We've got that.
I haven't seen that.
We've got $5.5 for 40 years
What in here?
at 9 point.
Yeah.
No,
Till 2043.
Page
2043
232.
at 6.2.
228 is the money side of it.
96 is it?
What page?
232.
Money we've been borrowing
Page what?
for some time.
Well, mine's
and then
228,
paid
at
off.
least, or 232.
Mine's 232.
Because I've got the corner done, and it's, yeah. 6.92% till the 30th of June 2043.
Oh, I missed all that. That's how do you get a fixed interest rate? That one?
That's what it.
Good management.
So you'll lock it in, and
It's already locked in,
Okay.
that's the 5 million we've already borrowed,
Right.
and it's locked in until.
well, that's well done. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Annual repayment, all that. Yes, yeah, I missed it.
And so Max has gone and split it up by assessment, so general fund will actually, out of that 464, general fund will only get hit about half of it.
Yeah,
It's very well detailed, I would
yeah, that is good. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Is there anyone got any question to Col about the Moriella development while he's here? I'm up to speed with it, so I don't have any. But is anyone else?
Could answer any other questions about anything?
When do you expect the demolition to start there? Early in the new year, or upon completion of this one? Is it?
They've indicated that, like they reckon that about the week of the 27th of November, that they can start doing the asbestos removal.
In Moriella, you're talking about?
No, here.
No, but what I'm asking now is the Hope Street development, because they're coming here first. When do you think that will start?
Oh, look, I couldn't answer that. I haven't been involved in it.
Oh, haven't you?
Alex.
Oh, Alex.
Sorry, that's
yeah.
Alex's.
The whole of the
Maybe.
Hope Street development is coming to an agreement with some of the adjoining
Yeah.
landowners regarding fencing.
Yeah.
As you can appreciate, they're concerned about the noise impact, visual impact of public space immediately adjacent their backyard. So there's been a lot of toing and froing.
I thought you'd settled that, but you haven't.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
So that was part of the driving decision to, and also because we believe it was the collective will of the councillors
Yeah.
to deal with bigger building first.
No, I agree with all of that. I was just wondering, are they going to go straight there when they finish here?
I
Or?
certainly hope so.
Yeah, okay. And then you'll be in a better position then to have gear available to do the earthwork, won't you? Yes.
So it sounds like it should be
Oh, yeah, no.
January, but
Oh, well, it could be February, yeah.
So I've actually started some of the conversations with some contractors about doing the site prep works, because there'll be GPS dozer work once the demolition's done. Have two interested parties. So there's, yes, I fully expect that by the time the demolition here is done, we will be able to jump straight to
Yeah, all right.
Hope Street.
That's all I want to know. Thanks. Yes, good.
What about that, the fencing that goes up in the old telephone exchange?
Yes.
Well, why can't you just let that wall there and cut it down to what's that height?
The wall would then have to support itself. At the moment,
It doesn't have to be 12 foot high.
no, it doesn't. At the moment, part of the reason the wall stands up is that it's got walls coming off it perpendicular, and the roof structure, the whole works as one unit. To retain it just as a wall would require some structural improvements to the point where, for the pricing of fencing, demolishing and reconstructing, it's a bit of a line ball, and we'll end up with something that's a bit more pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Just further, just something I thought of with the site here as well. Also, with the existing amenities building, the back wall of the amenities building actually forms effectively what is the fence between them and the Sports Hotel. So, and then the fence that goes down the back, it's a pretty crude sort of fence where it's got some posts and battens and then corrugated on their side.
Yeah.
From our side, we say the back of it. So I would propose that we would basically re-fence that whole section with a colour-blind fence, which is a little bit more appealing.
Yeah.
To look. So we'll get, when we do demolish that amenities building, there will be a section that is unfenced. So I propose, for the cost of the fencing, we just put it in plain. Yeah, because that's going to become, and if we do develop that land down the back, that's going to become a fairly heavily trafficked thoroughfare through there. So we want it to look nice. We don't want it to look crappy from our side. So
No, let's laugh at the new building, yeah.
happy with that.
Yeah. Yes. Any other questions, Cole? No? Thank you very much, Cole, for the
No worries.
explanations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to stay, but I'm happy to go.
You're welcome to stay. I mean, there's nothing secret here.
I do have another couple of inspections, so
All right. Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Right.
We need someone to move the report.
I was going to go back to
Yeah, and then we'll
Mr Mayor, would we be able to do item 6.5 for the Royal Big Up Rosie to...
Oh, yeah. We can. Yeah, we're very flexible. You tell me what page it's on.
139.
Thank you.
So do we finish this first?
No, I'm going to come back to that.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cole.
Colin.
139, yes.
Okay. Oh, the customer service, we don't need Colin for this?
No.
Okay, right. Thanks, Graham. Over to you.
So the purpose behind this one was basically it's been identified the layout of that big, it's not safe for our staff. More particularly now that we've especially got our council customer service there as well. The visibility with the piece in the centre doesn't enable them to see if there's people behind them and things like that when they're locking up.
Yeah.
So the redesign would obviously move that front counter. It would actually cut that middle piece in half, so it lowers halfway, and then the display cases with all the rocks and the shells, that would then be a focus in the centre as people are walking in, with the customer service being on the far side, with proper storage areas as well. And then the other proposal would be where the cafe is, would be then to actually turn that into a business hub where visitors can come in, they can access the free Wi-Fi, they can have printing facilities and things like that, which will also support the businesses in Morialia as well. So the proposal here would basically obviously commit to the budget, and what we're proposing is we have 50,000 set aside in last year's financial budget for redevelopment. Would be to carry that forward. There was also another 50,000 which was also set aside for the Fingra redevelopment, which has continued to be carried forward, but now the new building will be budgeted for separately, would be to carry that forward. And then we would need to commit another 100,000. Now, Service New South Wales said that they will try and help us out as well, because they have a certain budget for it as well, but they won't commit anything until they know exactly what we're going to do and the costing. So David Finlay will work together with that to try and get as much as possible to try and save some of those costs as well.
How are you going to handle the disruption to service while this is going on?
So we would have to move the customer service back to the main office building.
What about the
and
RTA?
as Service New South Wales, I've spoken to David. They actually have a bus, so if we have enough notice, we would be able to get that bus in, which will be operated by them, for a few of those days. The time frame, the design and everything was created by Randall Group, so Randall Group were the ones that done the Warrior bathrooms at the gym.
Yeah.
So they've done the cost and everything that's in here now. their time frame, they say they're talking about 3 to 4 weeks to do the.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty quick, yeah.
We know building doesn't always go to plan, so safe measures I would extend that out.
Yeah.
Probably a couple of
Potentially, we
weeks,
could
but
open bigger more days to compensate
Yeah.
if Warrior wasn't going to be open. we could-
It's the registration I'm talking about, RTA, and that, as you know, is a very busy service in Warialda. I don't think you can take that to Bingra.
So it would be, we could get the bus for some of them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Any of those urgent ones, it would be a case they would probably have to do it online or get to Bingo or Windy Rail for those.
What time of the year are you doing it? Because it'd be drastic to do it about now, when all the
well,
harvest
nothing's
region.
been set in stone.
No.
We need the
We need the budget first.
No, I understand that, but, well, anyway, make a point of not doing it pre-harvest, when all the harvest regos are going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I hope we would be able to get it done in the new year sometime before June.
Yeah,
That it wouldn't be in the busy season for
Yeah.
regos.
well, as long as you're aware of it, that's all, yeah.
I think it will make use of that space that previously was the cafe as well. I mean, it's a beautiful building. You're trying to encourage visitors and locals to see all the stuff that we've got. So having that space for travellers or even for staff that are coming through to Warrior that can call in there and plug in and be able to work from there for an hour if they need to, I think.
And there was absolutely no financial benefit to council having the coffee shop there. It provided a service that wasn't down the main street at the time, and now there is a wonderful new coffee shop down the main street, and other businesses are now doing coffee. What we don't have is that former community technology centre where people can actually drop in and if they're there, even if they're driving through for business, that they could print things or drop into it. It'd be quite a perfect spot for that. And on the flip side of that, the security issue has come up because when the cafe was being operated, there was another person or people there. So now it's quite empty in comparison. So it's brought up as safe. Then it's on the highway.
But you'll still be able to get a cup of coffee, as you said, in here.
Yeah, just not the full-on cafe.
No.
And yeah.
The vending machines will probably provide council with actually some income. If we can get the right people to run those vending machines and you have the printer set up to pay for printing and all that sort of stuff, we potentially could have some income coming in.
It's not going to be much, I wouldn't think. But I think that, while I'm in favour of this, I'm bitterly disappointed to see the cafe go. But we haven't had anyone in it for quite a while now, and it just seems like it's going to be an ongoing problem. But it was really good when it was going. It was a social centre.
Now that's been taken over by Cafe
Yeah,
Korea down the
yeah.
main street, which is lovely.
You're better off have a private enterprise doing it, I agree.
Yes. Yeah. And council's policy has always been not to compete. So.
Yeah.
Coffee vending machine.
Oh, yeah, that won't,
Copy vending machine and then.
that won't take it away from the other vote.
The different market.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
People like me that just want an ordinary cup of coffee, not these,
Fancy ones.
And cold drinks, like you can get the cold drink vending machine, one of the chocolate chip vents, so that if you do have visitors calling with kids, they'll probably get a cold drink there as well.
Well, a lot of customers will come for both reasons from the caravan park. When you're away and on the road, sometimes you do want to print a document.
And you'd be surprised what you make out of those vending machines, because I know when we put one over at the hospital,
Yep.
because,
We'll have it, we'll do it.
hospital auxiliary made good money out of it.
Anyway, there'll be a provision anyway. That's the main thing, that you can get it.
And I guess long story short, we're aware of a safety issue and we really need to do something about it.
Especially when it is the week as well, it's over the weekend, we need to be able to.
Yeah, I can see there's a safety issue for sure.
Store our council documents away from the big stuff as well, and have volunteers working with us.
Good point. Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose we can
Councillor Moore would like.
deal with this. Sorry, I can't.
Right, so we've got 100,000 left and 50,000 we set aside, plus
Yeah.
the other 50,000.
So 50,000 was for what was set aside with the Vic originally from last year. Then there was also 50,000 that we had set aside to remove the RMS from down here and put it into the Vic. Put it into our main building in Bingra. And then, so those were already committed funds from previous budgets, and then we would need another 100,000 I've got, so it's 200,000.
With the,
You've got to find 100,000 out of the budget, right? And here's the old budgetary, if you want to buy a grader, you can't get it.
and then, what's your contribution from Services New South Wales to that?
Well, that I don't know. So that 100,000 could obviously
Not too much.
could come down to
Do
what
they
it's-
pay a rental or anything for the staff doing the
That's right.
Services New South Wales?
Yes, we do, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that only contributes to the staff wages.
It does, yeah. It contributes to some of the costs.
Any rental cost or anything?
No.
Right.
But they have said that they will commit some funds to
Yeah.
upgrading that building, once we have full plan and design done.
Yeah, I realise that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I just thought they might have been paying a rental that would have possibly covered it over 5 years.
Unfortunately, the way RMS works, so New South Wales works, it's a transaction-based recruitment. So that's why we try and encourage as many people to come in and do it, because it's, we don't get paid for the question, we get
No,
paid for
pay
the
the
transactions.
I've got a question of the CFO. This recommendation says that we approve it and allocate an additional funding required to complete the refurbishment. In other words, you're asking us today to say, in the future budget, we're going to give 100,000 for this. Does that sit well with you?
I think for what's been identified for the staff risk and stuff, I think it's an important thing to be done.
I understand all that. I'm talking about money, budgetary.
Yeah, I think when the quarterly review comes up, I can get this included in the September quarterly review. And if you want to make a decision, then you can, because that will have the adjustments for the office building and any other staff adjustments that have been made.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to put it off, but I just thought that
I think we can
would become a
accommodate-
budget item at the right time of the year.
Yes, I think we can, I think there's room for us to make adjustments elsewhere, in other areas to make this happen, yes.
I suppose 100,000 not much in the scheme of things.
What
11 apparently, I chipped in a minute.
Yeah.
No, it's seven, Alex. It was seven.
Goes back to this
Okay.
safety thing we did here as well, like it's all,
Beg pardon?
it all probably goes back, this safety plan we did back in the first.
Oh yeah, look, I don't recall. I'm just talking about budgeting, the procedure of budgeting. That's what I'm talking about.
I think
Right.
we'll have to make adjustments. There's not room in our budgets to be spending great ones of money without finding savings elsewhere.
In previous years, I've been very criticised for spending outside the budget. This is exactly what we're proposing, and I'm just getting your advice.
So, yeah.
Helen's quite comfortable with it, is what she's
It
saying.
sounds like it.
Yes.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I'll ask for somebody to move the recommendation. Thank you,
So
Councillor
we're
Dixon.
moving that it's coming up in.
No, we're moving the recommendation as in front of you. As in front of you.
That we progress it.
Seconded, Councillor Moore.
Thank you.
Is there any questions? You all know what we're doing? Does anyone like to speak against it? No? Well, that's good. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye. Say it again. Those in favour say aye. Against? Go. Thank you. Right. Thanks, Graham. Thanks for that explanation. Yeah.
Not a problem.
The next one is 6.4 on page 109. I feel like I'm reading out the next hymn in the church. Proposed New South Wales Rural Fire Service bush-prone, fire-prone land. You might remember, and what year was it? 21. We had a Zoom meeting with the people that were proposing this, anyway, the individuals. And it was a very protracted meeting because they wanted to put all the... They were putting us in the same category as southern New South Wales, where it's just weed on weed on weed on weed, and a fire can go forever. Whereas here, our country split up with summer crop and fallow, and I said it's very different. And if you do lump it all in, then it's a big imposition if you want to build a house or something. The extra detail you have to go to. So I certainly opposed it at that meeting strongly, and it looks like we've got a win. They've taken it out. But what disappoints me is when I read the report, it seems like in 5 years' time it'll definitely be in.
Yeah, that's what it read like.
Yeah. Well, more than potentially, I think definitely. Yeah.
When you look at the two maps, The one on,
The ones all red.
one on
Yeah, one's all
114 and one on 119. 119 is the new one.
So the new one is,
114 is the one we're looking at.
114 is, this map is in current use.
yep,
And 119 says reviewed bushfire prone land map presented in the report.
that was the
No,
previous.
Oh,
no,
right.
no, it's not.
So I-
You go
yeah.
over, there's another one there somewhere.
The one on 138 is.
38, is it?
The one you're going to do a decision on.
It's more than we had, but it's better than what they proposed. This one here, 138, yes.
It's a lot more fire prone land.
There
out
is,
isn't there?
yeah. And you've all read what it does to us, right, but like, it's more red tape, it's more, and my other question is, who makes the assessment here? Who's going to do it? Is it a local RFS man? Because if it is, I cannot put my name on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a local guy, it is a particular part of the overall RFS unit.
Well, that concerns me
In
too,
New South
Patsy.
Wales.
Yeah, that concerns me greatly, Patsy.
And it's based on a holistic New South Wales point of view.
Yes, that's right.
Based
Yeah,
on
yeah.
whatever review they're up to,
Yeah.
based on last year's fires.
All of that worries me, yeah.
So basically, this map only comes into play in the development application situation.
Yes.
It's a trigger
Mm.
for them to provide a bushfire assessment report
Yeah.
as a part of the development application, and only when you're building a house or doing other type of residential development, or you're doing residential subdivision,
I understand
where a
that.
house could potentially be built in
Yeah.
the future.
Mayor, I suggest that in coming up with the proposed map, it was mostly done from desktop using topographical information.
Yeah.
And that would be part of the reason why once you get north of Warrialla where things are a whole lot flatter,
Mm. More open
there's a whole lot less, and also less vegetation of course. Whereas in the very hillier areas, we've got more bushfire prone land. So I don't think that could have been done at a local level.
No.
So
Well,
Danielle-
you might remember at that meeting, they were going to come up and have a look, because I was pretty adamant about what I was saying, and
Yeah.
then COVID stepped in and they never ever turned up, and now they've hit us with this without coming.
Danielle Perrott and myself had a lot of input into taking that, identifying that cropping land
Yeah.
and getting it taken out.
Yeah.
So there was that local input, but other types of local input I don't really
No. It's, you know, the talk of the buffer and all of this, I mean, I found that a bit hard to take when we had a job to get a buffer around Warrialla.
Yeah, totally separate part of RFS.
I understand that, but it's still RFS, and that's it. Well, RFS actually got it for us in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about this. I think we don't want to take it too lightly, because you can see what it does, and I think we're over-governed now. I think if you live in the Blue Mountains, it's fair enough. Or if you lived on between here and Narrabri, it's probably fair enough in all that timber. But for most of our shire, it's overkill.
The problem is when,
Bushfires are included now as bushfire prone vegetation,
Yeah.
which covers nearly everybody.
It does.
It's only the cropping that we can have a flexibility on at this point in time. The commissioner could possibly just go, no, I want it back in, and put it back in. So, the RFS commissioner, it really goes to him after this, if you decide to, recall it.
I
Agree with it?
I would be happy to vote for it if I knew who was doing the assessment.
I'm a bit the same as you.
If it ends up being a
The
local,
assessment of the actual mapping are we talking about? or
no, the assessment at a bit when you're building a house.
That'd be me.
It will be you, not an RFS person.
Well, it depends.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm.
If you do a bushfire assessment report and your house comes back at either having a bushfire attack level of flame zone or 40, which are the two highest ones, then I have to refer it to RFS.
Okay.
And generally, they have a unit in, they did have a unit in Narrabri that were doing it. I'm not sure whether it still goes there or whether it now goes out to Coffs Harbour, because they changed it.
No.
If it's a residential subdivision and it's bushfire prone and they have to provide a bushfire assessment report, that goes straight to RFS referral. I don't get a chance to have any assessment. Any other of the other types of assessments, it goes through an assessment process.
So the map tells you whether you've got to have a bushfire assessment or not.
Yes.
And in a low risk area, you would do that assessment, did you say?
Sorry, what's that?
In a lower risk area for a residence, you would do that assessment, is
Yes.
that? Yeah.
So there's 4 underneath the Bell bushfire attack level 40 in flame zone. There's 29, 19, 12.5 and low. So they're the 4 that I can do.
Okay. Oh.
And generally if somebody comes back to me with a flame zone or Bell 40, I say, look, you'd be better off moving the location of your house than trying to get through and pay for the levels of bushfire requirements you'll have to get through to actually get it completed. So I tend to steer people towards moving the house to a more unsusceptible location to get a lower bell, so that I can get through.
Okay.
But some people are adamant, I want my house on the top of that escarpment,
Yeah.
in the middle of all that trees.
Yeah, I know there's houses built in stupid places. I'm not against the principle of this, but I'm happy to say this being recorded. I don't have a lot of faith in the RFS. That's my concern. No. But if you're going to be doing the assessment, it rests well with me.
Well, I mean, I'm still, I still have to do it in private, like, follow the procedure of the Act.
No, that's right.
And the document called Planning for Bushfire Protection 2019, it was updated 4 years ago. And I see that in the future, this is just going to become more onerous.
Yeah, I do too.
Because, I mean, look at our climate and what we're going through. So this year is going to be huge for bushfires, I believe. And every time there's a huge bushfire season, they update it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, I'll start opening questions. Anybody have anything?
It goes back to, and I know this is completely off the subject, but when I went to the Northern Territory and they have that burn off in the
Every winter.
every winter, and it works, doesn't it? Like, it's common sense.
Unfortunately, this sort of is separate from any type of, burning off or anything. This doesn't have anything to do with it. This is more to trigger someone to make improvements to their house and where they live to protect themselves, a minimal protection from a bushfire event or a minimal last place of retreat. If you get caught, you might have a chance of surviving.
That's the one last question from me.
Upgraded your house to such an extent, and that's based on the risk of that happening.
The last question then, with this rezoning of the fire, the map, is that going to put house insurance up for those that are in the red zone?
Possibly, yes.
It's probably already up, John.
It's the same with flood zones.
I would,
No, I'm talking about going from this map to that map.
Yeah.
That's putting a whole lot more people in the red zone.
Yeah, so it would most definitely, you would think, put insurance up.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised that if you live in the Greater Shire,
They will,
you're not already
So-
I wouldn't be surprised if you live in the Greater Shire, you're not already paying it. Same as people that are living in unflood-prone areas, they're getting hit with flood-prone
Yeah,
areas
exactly.
on their insurance. So the insurance companies are in it.
There's just another concern I had. I think I can see it's another negative to this.
unfortunately, we don't have a lot of jurisdiction over that.
We do if we don't make it a fire zone, we do.
Well, insurance companies will do what they
What they
deem
do.
necessary regardless, but yeah, it probably will be used as ammo.
I like the old map best.
I know, but we don't have an option. I don't need to stay with that.
Right. Any speakers for or against? If not, I'd like someone to move the recommendation.
I think we're going to have to accept it, listening to Patsy and the way that climatic changes are and the way we've been governed. We don't have ownership of our lives anymore, so
We got a slight win.
a little.
It's a temporary slight.
I know it is.
believe, but-
I won't be here next time, so it won't matter. I won't be able to fight it. Yeah.
No, you can bushfire for
Did you? Have you moved it?
Well, I guess I will move it. I mean, we're all
Right.
reluctant to move it, but I don't think we've got much say in it. I think it's going to happen one way. or
Seconded,
the other.
councillor Dixon. Any more debate on the topic? I'll vote for it in a frustrated way, I suppose. What was that? Do you say, you have something more to add, Patsy?
I just wanted to point out the recommendations, that was to put it out.
Yeah, yeah, we've got all that,
For
yeah.
30 days prior to
Yes.
the citizens to withdraw.
We get another crack at it, yeah, yeah. Yeah, right.
For the next council meeting.
Well, 30 days, yeah, I guess it will be.
So we get another
If it
crack
goes
at
out
it.
now, we can have it next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it all again.
Get some
I
input.
assume there will be objections to it, but I
Yeah.
don't know whether they'll fly with the commission.
No, they probably won't. I just don't know how many people are going to bother to look even.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many
You
either.
can't,
They just need to be aware that
Yeah.
that's what's going to affect them.
no. Okay. I've got a mover and a seconder. Is there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, we'll have one.
Yes, councillor.
Just, I know it won't help in this situation, and the fire brigades probably won't do anything about it. But that fire they had at Yelleroy the other day, you were flat out to get communication. Where had that big fire at the
At Rockall?
Rockall and that.
Yeah.
They had the communication there was pathetic. They couldn't get in contact with a lot of people to do a lot of things. Can the fire brigade put pressure on the relevant political parties to improve the communication? Like, it seems to be a big problem in the whole of the Shire.
Yeah, I have a son who's in the RFS, so he says communications leading this worry.
But whether they were going to, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think we're right off the topic though.
Yeah, right.
We're way off the topic. I think it's a separate item. Yeah, you can ask Patsy.
Patsy, just as a, if we were to build over there in the east, about up into that hill where everyone's, that'll have a lot of imposition, won't it? There'll be a lot of,
Yeah, look, it would be
changes
an
that you won't
ideal spot to put a house.
No.
It probably would require a bushfire assessment report, and because they're uphill,
It's even worse.
their valve will be relatively high. It'll depend on then, whether, how far the vegetation is away from them, what type of vegetation.
Yeah, of course, all those things.
And, how big their asset protection zone they can provide within their property.
Yeah, I have no problem with anything like that. It's out on the bare open country that's where I have the problem. They're going to be come into this fire zone. They're going to have to do all these reports, and I think it's absolutely crazy. But it looks like I can't stop it. I can talk
Even
about it.
under our current mapping, those people over there would still have.
No, there. No, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Joe.
So the only other point was just in terms of the development process, there's no, I don't think there's any guaranteed service levels in terms of getting a report back from the RFS when it is in one of these zones about what their assessment is.
What do you mean?
So we have to refer, potentially when we have to refer them out.
If we have to refer it on to RFS at Balfour Flame Zone, their recommendations that come back will go into the conditions of consent, so they will become part of the development, but they will be onerous. Like,
Yeah.
you'll have to have so much water supply on, or if you're not reticulated, or have a massive asset protection zone, or have such building materials that will survive a fire that, you know, has a,
Mm.
you know,
Anyway.
you can't use just straight timber, or, you know, it'll have to be probably steel, which adds to the cost of the build. So all these things do, and you have to have everything sealed, you have to have thickened glass on your windows, and possibly even shields.
But at the end of the day, it's still going to burn, isn't it?
More than likely, but if you're inside that building,
You might
you have a
survive.
better chance
Yeah.
of surviving than if you've got a little fibro shack there.
Well, I think you'd piss off before it burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, look, I've got a
Some-
motion. I've got a
some
mover and a
people
second. Is there any
do
other
that.
questions?
Well,
Linda?
let's ask the question, so if there's if we're going to approve this map and there's objections raised, what happens if we're going to change the map?
We can take them back, if they're reasonable, we can take them back to RFS and they can look at it to see whether they can, you know, like slightly adjust the map.
The only way
If
they...
we haven't identified all the cropping areas, which we try to, and so we miss one or something and they've got a valid case, we can go back and say, look, we just want this economy taken out. And they go, yeah, okay, but at the end, this map has to go up to the commissioner, and the commissioner decides to whether or not he signs it off or he wants other stuff in.
Well, I can tell you the
there is
commissioner,
potential that the
the commissioner's got a ton of common sense and he's a pretty good bloke, so I'd be confident with him. But I find it difficult that they can produce this map, or you have, without them coming and looking. I'm really disappointed they haven't come up. They promised they would, and they never ever come.
No, they didn't, as you said, COVID did hit us.
But the COVID's not on now, and here we are, we've got it in front of us. Yeah.
So they have produced the map without coming.
Yeah.
They have.
So that is something.
Is that an objection?
Sorry?
Is that an objection? By saying you have to
Well, I
look
mean,
at
if
it,
the council decides at this point in time that we want them to come, I mean, obviously we can put this on hold until they do come. Yeah, or if they refuse to come, then I don't know what we do.
I'm going to put the motion in a minute, and we can see what happens with the objections, if I'd suggest. Is there any other questions? What I do? So it's been moved by Councillor Egan and seconded by Councillor Dixon, I believe. The recommendation, I'll put it. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
I'll do it again. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those against, no. That's carried. Righto. Yeah, 149. What's this one?
150. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's
Oh, okay.
148.
Yeah. The investment rates collection report, please, Helen.
So that's just the standard monthly report that I can take any questions that you've got on. There is the extra recommendation that council supports our application that we have already put in for an extension of submission of our financial statements for this year until December this year. We've had delays again due to impairment issues. They are all now sorted. We've got it all done and the statements are done, but due to the delay, the auditors couldn't fit us in until the 6th of November. So we have put that application in, but it would be nice to have it documented that council does support that request.
Thank you, Helen. Is there any questions of Helen?
And rates are again higher than they have been at this point in time in the last 3 years. So
Right.
you work that one out.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. Can I have the mover of the recommendation? Councillor Colton, thank you. Councillor Dixon, seconded it. Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Proposals for minor updates of the Guada LEP. Who wants to handle this, Patsy or Joe? Patsy? Right, I welcome this because it's less red tape and I love it.
Well, yeah, we have, the previous LEP didn't have any separate scope for exempting combined development, which means that you don't need to do certain things without getting approval of council. Combined development is a shortcut version of the development application and construction certificate. It only applies to certain small types of developments.
Will it include something like someone putting a container on their property?
It can do.
Yeah.
It's really outside of what the state environmental planning policy applying in set development does now.
Yeah.
So we can put extra
Okay.
stuff within our LEP that is outside that scope. So yes, shipping containers can be included. I don't think we have at this stage though, but that's something that you can look at. If that's what you want to put in the recommendation.
No, you can. We've amended
You can
it.
with development consent. I think we're talking about putting it through as line development,
Yeah,
maybe, not consent.
Yeah. So you mentioned or I've read in the report where a thing that you could do is build like a carport on the side of your house. That would have to comply. Will there'll be a compliance check on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it may increase by doing that, some developments which they just, oh, yes, I can put up a carport, so they put it up anywhere.
Yeah.
And then look at the development standards to say, okay, I can only put it in the backyard, or I can only put it 900 mil off the boundary.
Also the way, like, the reason for all of this is so that a roof doesn't blow off into someone else's house.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm talking about with compliance. So it's going to actually increase that probably, isn't it?
Yes, well, we would hope so.
But also,
Missed
the
my point.
reason why you put it in is because if you are going to sell your place, doesn't it? It makes it, yeah.
That's right. If you're going to sell your place and you've done a new gas development, say, I could have what is exempt under the state environmental planning policy at this stage. But our exemption will go beyond that, their development standards for that, so we will have something a little bit more in addition to that.
This is coming.
It allows you to say, well, I've done an exempt development. And you can actually come to council and say, look, I just want something in writing to say this was done on the exempt.
Yeah.
And we'll go, all right, and it's allowed text.
Yeah, right.
Yes, okay, right. If you're selling your house.
I think there's a ton of common sense here in this.
Yeah, that's right.
The rest of it is just tidying up sort of stuff, updating legislation, just having those changes. A bit of spelling mistakes and some in the heritage register. I think there was a BP number that wasn't complete
Oh, right.
that we had to fix up. I think there's also, he's putting in, this was done by Angus.
Yeah, he likes the word indicated.
Yeah, he has. He has put in a little bit for temporary rural workers accommodation.
Yeah, so.
Which we can have before, which is based on the Moria model. Because he did do that as well, which I think makes a lot of sense.
I do too.
That just allows to go beyond just a rural workers cottage.
Yeah, yeah.
Like something like sharing accommodation.
Sharing quarters,
or, you
quarters,
know,
yeah.
temporary workers.
Atco buildings, things like that.
Yeah, like a picnic farm that you just got one.
Yeah, yeah. All right, anyone got any questions on this one? Yeah, I think it's a good idea too. Can I get a mover of the recommendation then? It's on page 153. You're doing that, Councillor Mulligan, second it. Any other questions then, before I put it? Not, I'll put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
I got 2, 4. Only heard 2 ayes. Yeah. You didn't go any further. It might be me, is it? Can I put it again? Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's no carried, thank you. We need to know. All right, thanks Patsy, that was wonderful. I think that's a great move.
It's 192.
Oh, beauty.
What is it? One what?
192.
She was in Hope Street.
Well, just up the wall
We've
square.
already done this.
Oh, yeah, good. Right, the demolition of the Hope Street building, I think we've done it to death.
Yeah.
Where's the recommendation?
There wouldn't be any koalas on it.
No, I've never seen one. You ever seen koalas there, Kelly?
No, definitely no koalas, there's no trees.
Koalas in there, and I thought there wouldn't be any. Why do we have
You'll have
this
someone
stuff?
jump
Good, good.
in stopping us.
And the conditions flow on from that.
Mr Mayor, point D, on page 193, states that we would undertake stormwater remediation and retention works as necessary at the site.
Yes, yes.
I'd just like to be clear on what that would actually
Yep,
include.
please do.
Given that part of the aim of the works is to keep water off adjoining lots, that particular clause would include the construction of curb and gutter for the car park. There would be stormwater retention further down closer to Hope Street, but we would intend under this approval to conduct some preliminary roadworks that would ultimately service the green space.
Yeah. You're aware there's a spring there, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
underneath the
brick,
old Bakery
in the brick building,
pump
yeah.
out system.
Yeah, yeah. So I just, the reason I mentioned that was that you were talking about retention. Whether that'll add to that spring, I don't know.
So the retention will consist of
Pipes.
plastic culvert pipes that will be buried somewhat upstream of there. And we're thinking some in the region of 5 or 6 3-foot diameter pipes, 6 metres long.
Yeah.
And that will retain maybe half an hour in small storm. It's really about not flooding out onto Hope Street. It's not going to retain enormous amounts of water.
But that water will gradually leak out, and that's what I'm concerned about.
No, it won't. So it'll be a sealed unit.
Oh, will it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was.
And as it overflows, it will overflow into the curb and gutter and the stormwater out in Hope Street.
So that then at the end of the storm it's full. Do you pump it out? Or?
So it'll fill, and basically under outlet restriction, the water coming in is faster than it can get out. And then as the water coming in slows down, it trickles out. So it's not
over a long time.
No.
No. Okay. Is there any questions about this?
So we're putting the old bakery down?
No, we're not. No, we're not.
This is only for the two lake buildings, really.
That includes the steel buildings at the back?
Yes. All structures.
Yep. Yeah.
If there's any silos or down in the
Koala might be up
They were.
on the fence, maybe. Or something.
So you go across the back of the old bakery to the old storefront building?
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
That's the next proposal, but for the green space, this is just the sort of the total buildings.
Just the demolition.
Yeah, demolition of
The
those.
building, the sheds and the slabs. No.
And any contamination that may be or may not be there.
That's correct.
That we can't see at this point in time
Yeah.
until we get there.
Yeah.
We uncover the surface.
There was abundant area there that maybe there's something there. Anyway, there it is in front of you. Is there any questions? If not, I'd ask for a mover. Councillor Moore. Seconded Councillor Colton. Any comment? Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. No, carried. You can assume I'm saying aye, Leo.
Yep. All the ayes.
Righto. Now, the next one's the Bingra building, which we've discussed pretty thoroughly. I'm just trying to find the recommendation.
On page 227.
227. Sorry?
227.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so the council notes and receives a couple of expenditure review right here. Okay, just any more discussion on this? Thank you. The two Bingra people here. Councillor Regan, Councillor Galvin. Any question? Now that I've found the finances, I apologise for that, but I have been involved with harvest and not a lot of time. I started at 5:30 this morning reading this, and I missed that bit. All right, then I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And it's not carried. Thank you.
The only reason it really stuck in my head was the long amount of the fixed interest.
Yeah,
interest
yeah,
rate.
that-
I read that and I thought, oh my goodness.
That interests me too.
Did that well.
Now we need to, is there, I can do council reports now if anyone wants to do it outside in the general meeting. Is there anyone that doesn't? Well, I'll start. You can choose. Councillor Regan.
No, I think the members I've attended are worked into it.
Okay. Councillor Colton, you have any?
Just a bit of an update on the Telstra problem here. The blackout. Carl Turley and myself met with Ian George here the other day, and he informed us that there are moves in place to hopefully get rid of the problem. In the 3 hour, there's a set of batteries in the 3 hour. They're to be updated to a 5 hour time limit before they go flat. There's also in the process of putting, not the process of putting, but looking, they've got we hook a generator in. They've got one that's going as a trial one at Bilton, and we're going to see where that goes. And then, but anyway, he's rattled a few cages and sort of got brought up a bit bit more, so hopefully something will happen there sooner rather than later, but I don't know what it is.
That was brought up at the Health Alliance meeting the other night. In fact, that Gerald had
Yeah,
it.
well, there was letters from both the school and the hospital, and all that, last school and other school. So, there was stuff happening in the background, but we weren't informed what was happening until this meeting was here the other night. But big section, I was, really dedicated to what we want up here, so we've got a few changes.
I think, further that, I've used him since then, Ian George. I had an email from a representative of the club at Upper Horton, and they're wanting to put in, internet reception for the caravan park all around there, the sports ground. And the question to me was, when are they going to, when's the likelihood of a tower going there? So I just sent a copy of the letter to Ian George, and he responded the same day. And the response was that yes, they've got it in the budget, but the landholder for the ideal site was charging far too much, so they're negotiating with other people. So in other words, he didn't know when it would happen, but he was going to continue to chase it up. So that's some pretty good news for Upper Horton. I know it was nothing. I know. I talked to him, but I don't think this is a full-blown tower. I think it's sort of a repeater thing.
But he also, I think there was, singing his praises, I suppose, he reported to us that there was a problem because of the fire down at Romadale Road. Knocked out some infrastructure down there, but he got in touch and told us that was being dealt with very quickly.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good contact actually. Yeah. Okay, thanks, David.
Should we go to Barnaby again?
No, Councillor Galvin.
I wouldn't waste my breath.
Councillor, do you have anything?
Marsh and I went to the ART conference 2 weeks ago.
What sort of conference?
Australian Regional Tourism Conference.
Okay, thanks.
In Newcastle, which was different to what we both expected. I went to the local government tourism conference and it was fantastic. That was the one I got the report back last time.
Yeah.
This was more on IT and
Too much over our bloody head. We
Was
couldn't
it?
understand.
Good honest report there, Councillor Dixon.
That's exactly.
people trying to sell their way of getting tourism in. There wasn't much.
Oh.
So you didn't get a lot out of it, I gather? No. Okay. Thank you. Is that all? Okay. That's.
Are you surprised?
I am very surprised. That's why I said, Councillor Dixon. You want to elaborate on that IT?
Yeah, of all the conferences I've been to, it's the worst one I've ever been to.
Yeah.
There's your elaboration.
Thank you. I gathered that. Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to Alex for the work being done down the Mosquito Creek Road, getting all that, bring all the shoulders back in and they're not carting gravel on that, and it's done a real good job. That was that one, and good to see on that pool signage thing being passed around, the proper riders going back on the pool. And
War Memorial, yeah. War Memorial, you
War
mean?
Memorial
Yeah.
pool, yeah. And because of the pictures in the report here regarding Nicholson Ave, I went and had a look at it this morning, and the boys need to congratulating on the work they're doing over there. It's very, very exciting, very good.
I had a look a while ago. I haven't been back for a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Mulligan. The roads are good out your way.
Getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Okay, thanks. Well, I ask now for somebody to move. We're going to committee of the whole. Thank you, Councillor Galvin, and seconded by Councillor Golden. Now, Leo, you might read out. We'll go back on the record. The wrong one. And now I'd ask that the recommendations from the confidential meeting be recorded.
The first item, 7.1, Committee, Guarda Shire Council Circular Economy Precinct. Recommendation was that the briefing paper on the current status of the Guarda Shire Circular Economy Precinct is noted. Item 7.2, sale of 5 Yetman Street, Coolatai. officer recommendation was that the council accept the unconditional purchase offer from Mr Nigel Henning of $9,000 to purchase 5 Yetman Street, Coolatai, lot 85, DP 75115. Moved Councillor Colton, seconded Councillor Galvin, and passed unanimously. Item 7.3, confidential organisational community services report. Moved Councillor Egan, second Councillor Galvin, that the report be received. Late item, sale of 44 Hope Street, Warialda, that council accept. Moved Councillor Dixon, second Councillor Moore, that council accept the offer from McGregor Real Estate to purchase 44 Hope Street for $45,000. This offer be accepted. Moved the committee meeting that was to be held on the 9th of November be transferred to the 16th of November, and noted that Councillor Egan and Councillor Dixon will be absent on that day. Finally, the Galvin, sorry. So moved that Councillor Egan and Councillor Galvin will be absent on that day. Lastly, that a letter to the Minister be forwarded, letter to the Minister highlighting more applications, outlining the concerns around the advertising of new bore licences and the fact that the current process is the cause of tensions between neighbours, be penned from council, and that be forwarded to the Minister. That's it.
Thank you. Would somebody move that that be included on our minutes? Yep. Thank you, Councillor Mulligan. Seconded. Councillor Egan. I'll put that. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, no, carry. Thank you. Thank you. That winds up the meeting. Thanks very much for your attendance.